Good morning. As you can see, I'm in a different setting than usual. I'm not inside of a car. I'm not at a car meet or anything like that. That's because this is kind of a special video. Let me just start off with saying thank you to everybody who has subscribed and followed the channel, and for your comments and your input and your likes. I appreciate everything. It means the world to me. I'm sat here because I started doing car reviews about a year ago, so I kind of wanted to do a video today going over all the reviews that I've done and kind of just ranking them. Worst to best, least favorite to favorite, pretty much in that category, ranking them on how I feel about the car itself. Yeah, we also just hit 300 subscribers, so I really appreciate every one of you guys. I really want to do this more full-time than I can right now. I really only have the weekends to shoot videos, so hopefully soon, we can move into, or I can move into doing stuff a little bit more full-time, because I really enjoy doing YouTube. It's very fulfilling for me, and I just like interacting with you guys. So let's start off with the fact that I've done 14 reviews over the last year and like 2 months. My first one came out in April 2022. Before we get into it, like I said, it's been pretty much a review a month. I'd like to do 3 hopefully a month, 2, 3 a month going forward, if I can get the time for it. So let's just jump right into it. Starting at number 14, my least favorite car, or I think the worst car. I hate to sound like it's a bad car. None of these are bad cars, mind you. I have a list right next to me. None of them are bad cars, but if I had to rank them, worst to best, this is how it's gonna go. So we got number 14, the 2000 Corolla VE. The best part about this car is the economy and the fact that it's cheap and reliable, but that is really all you get with this car. Other than that, it's slow, it handles poorly, it has no options. So take that as you will. I've also rated every one of these cars on a scale to 100. So the 2000 Toyota Corolla VE, I gave 50 points. It's a car, it's smack dab in the middle. It's a car, it's reliable, it'll get you to A to B, not a sports car, not that fun, not many options. So that's where it sits, right in the middle. At number 13, we have the 2023 Mercedes CLA 250 Coupe. So the best part about the CLA 250 Coupe is the fact that it's clean and comfortable and has lots of options, and it's very affordable for what it is. You get a luxury car with a decent engine, lots and lots of options. The interior is very luxurious, it's very nice to be in. So I think you get a pretty decent car for the price. I think it's something like, $43,000. I put it in the video, it'll be up on the screen now, but it's a great value for what it is, and I think that's about where it ends. The cons for me on the Mercedes is that there's so much road noise, and the fact that the engine doesn't really have that much power. It's like a 2-liter turbo. It's nothing really all that fun. Doesn't handle, necessarily amazing. It's a car. I think if you're gonna spend enough money to get a brand new car and you want something luxury, I think that's definitely the route you go. However, I think that if you're gonna spend $43,000 on a car, there's a lot of options out there that can give you pretty much everything the Mercedes has and a little bit more performance. And I'm gonna go ahead and give the Mercedes CLA 250 a 60 out of 100. Like I said, it's definitely a little bit better than the 2000 Corolla VE, but you do pay a pretty penny for those options that you get. Pretty much do the exact same thing that the Corolla does. Coming in at number 12, we have the 1986 Ford Escort L. Now, the best parts about the Ford Escort L is the fact that it is a quirky car and it's very comfortable. Also, the parts are very cheap and everything is kind of very easy to work on. It's all held in with self-tapping screws. Pretty much the biggest advantage that the Escort has over the last 2 cars is that it's definitely a bit quirkier and it has a really nice transmission. Since this was a 5-speed manual, or was it 6-speed? I can't remember, but because it was a manual, not only the fact that it is a manual puts it above the last 2 cars for me, but also the fact that it was a good transmission. It wasn't just a manual transmission. I would actually put that transmission above, let's say, an RSX transmission or a Civic Si transmission. I just think it felt a little bit nicer. The gears rode very nicely. It was very notchy, felt very sturdy. There are trims of that car that are very cool and very sporty, so I think that there are some upgrades you can make to the chassis if you just have the chassis itself and you can kind of put Escort RS stuff on it. So I think there's some potential in that car. So overall, I rank that car a 68 out of 100, right where it is. I think it's a quirky car. It's a cool little car you don't see often, and if you find a clean example, I think it'd be a nice little talking piece at a car meet. All right, number 11. I honestly forgot that I reviewed this car until this list. It's the 2015 BMW 535xi. Now, the best thing about this is just like the Mercedes. It's cozy, has good options. That's about it. I mean, it's not super sporty, doesn't have the manual transmission. It was automatic. You know, it's not that slow, but it's not that fast. So it's kind of just like one of those A to B cars. Like I said in the video, it's kind of like BMW's Honda Accord. It's like, yeah, it's a bit nicer than the Civic, but it really doesn't do much aside from just have some more options than the Civic does. So I went ahead and I rated that car a 70. I think just because there's probably some more tuning potential in that one, it being a 535 and a BMW, you know what they do with the downpipe and an email. So moving on to number 10 is the 1991 Honda Beat. This was a really fun car to drive. It's fun seeing all of the faces and the looks that you get when you're driving it around, not only because it's super tiny, but then the double take that people do once they realize you're driving on the wrong side of the car, especially here in the States. Mind you, it's also bright Reptar green. The best part about the Honda Beat is that it's super fun to drive around, mostly just for the quirky factor, and it revs really high. You actually have to rev it out in order to drive it like as you would want to, because you can't just be shifting at 3,000 RPM, it'll bog down. You have to take it to like 5,000, 6,000 RPM. It's almost like a motorcycle. Me personally, I didn't find all that much fun in the acceleration because it kind of lacked that. I also didn't find that the handling was all that great. It was a little bit sloppy, a little bit scary, probably because the tires are like, I don't know, 145, 165. They're skinny tires. It is a light car, but that doesn't always mean it's gonna handle great. I'm sure there are modified examples of Honda Beats that handle really well and can do well in like an autocross setting, but the one that I drove was relatively stock, so that's where I put that one. But I'm gonna rate it a 72 out of 100. It was a fun little car, but nothing to like write home about, nothing to be like, oh wow, this is a life-changing experience, you know. Doesn't really compare to the number 9 car on this list, which is the Ford Mustang GT that I did, the 2014 Ford Mustang GT. This was a really cool car. It's almost like a badass kind of car, you know what I mean? It had a lot of power and torque, and it had a really nice interior for being a sports car. It had really nice, comfortable seats. The build quality was really good on the inside, and I think it's a cool car. You know, you can drive it around every day, and it's comfortable still. It's not all rigid and stiff like many other sports cars are. The biggest con for me with the Mustang is that it's very boaty, so the handling isn't all that great, and also it can be like unstable if you don't know what you're doing, especially that generation. Regardless of the stability and the boatiness of it, I still rate it a 76 out of 100. I think it's definitely a very cool sports car. Can go really fast in a straight line if that's what you're into. The engine's got lots of potential and tuning capability. You could put a supercharger on that and make a lot of horsepower, so I think it's a really good car. Overall, I think it's a really cool sports car. Number 8 on my list of cars that I've reviewed is the 2011 Mitsubishi Evo 10. My favorite things about this car was the fact that it handled great, was very versatile, like it's a sedan, you know, it's a regular car but with a really nice engine and transmission combo, and the fact that it sounded amazing. This is just an overall really nice car to drive. It's not like blow my face up, like melt my face fast. It didn't really pull all that hard. I would actually say it's maybe a little bit slower than that Mustang that I just talked about, but I think it's the fact that you can use this every day for any occasion. It's all-wheel drive, so you can drive all year round. It's got 4 doors and a trunk, so you can do anything that the Corolla VE can do. It pretty much does everything that every car I just talked about does, but a little bit better. Aside from, you know, be a quirky car that gets a lot of attention, because it does look like just a regular sedan. The only cons that I have for the Mitsubishi Evo 10 is the rigidity of it. I thought that the suspension was very stiff and rigid. Obviously you can set it up differently, but I think overall that chassis is relatively stiff. So there's that, as well as the engine being kind of fragile. If you don't treat it well or if you modify it incorrectly, it can be pretty unreliable. But if you do it right and you spend enough money to really make sure you got the right parts and the right work done, then I think it can be a car you can enjoy for a really long time. So I rate the Mitsubishi Evo 10 a 78 out of 100. All right, halfway through our list, I'm at number 7, which would be the 2023 Tesla Model Y. Off the bat, I'm pretty sure this is the fastest car that I've driven on this channel. And that being said, it being right in the middle of the pack, obviously you can tell I'm not giving this list based on the speed or how much horsepower it has. While it is the fastest, there's that saying, I'm sure you've heard it, where yeah, a microwave can cook a burger in 30 seconds, but would you rather have a burger from the grill or a burger from the microwave? It's the same thing with a Tesla. You know, it's instant power, no shifting, like no gear changing. It just, you get hit and it sucks you in. And it's cool, it's a novelty, but it's not really needed, and it doesn't really have any other supporting feature to use that horsepower anywhere, really. Not on a track, not really anywhere. It's not really made for motorsports, if you will. And I'm sure there's a lot of Tesla owners out there that will attest to Teslas being decent track cars and actually good track cars, but I think that's more so in the realm of the Model S and maybe the Model 3, but I don't really see the Model Y being a track car. It's a little bit bigger, it's heavier. I don't know why you wouldn't just go with a 3 or an S, but I don't think the Y is really made for motorsports, so there's not really a way to utilize all that power you have other than the novelty of stepping on the accelerator and, you know, feeling like you're in Back to the Future. My cons with the Tesla are mostly the fact that it's relatively a boring design. I don't think the car is all that interesting to look at. Everyone has seen them now. It's not like Teslas are some foreign hypercar. You see Tesla every other car on the road now. Aside from it being kind of a boring design, in my opinion, it also has kind of poor build quality. I felt like a lot of the plastics could have been a little better. There's crunchiness going on when you push on the dash, push on the windows, that kind of stuff. So out of 100, I'm actually gonna give the Tesla an 80, just because of the novelty of how fast it is. Right off, like right as you put your foot down, the power is right there. And then you can just use it for everyday use. You know, it's a really good, it's cheap to run, because it's electric, obviously. It's reliable as all hell because it's electric. All-wheel drive, lots of horsepower, lots of space in the car. It's comfortable, has self-driving, which is a really nice feature. I think it's overall a pretty good car. But like I said, the build quality is not my favorite. So moving on to number 6 on the list is the car that I just reviewed, the 1994 Daihatsu Mira Walkthrough. The best thing about the Daihatsu Mira Walkthrough is the fact that it is probably the most unique car you'll ever see with your eyes, like that a normal person would see with their eyes that on the street, if you drive it every day. You drive this thing in Queens and people are gonna be staring at you like, what the hell is this thing? You know, when I drove it for the 10 minutes that I did around the mall and up and down a couple of streets, every single car was looking at me. And take that as you will if you like attention or not. It's really cool to be in a car that people are interested in without even knowing what it is. It's a very funny car. You know, kids will love it, car enthusiasts will love it, normal people will love it. So it's a car that really everyone can enjoy, and I think that's something to be said about being a car in a car enthusiast world that other people also enjoy kind of at the same way. Car enthusiasts like it because it's funny and quirky and rare. Non-car enthusiasts like it because it's funny and quirky and they don't really see them. So it's a really great marketing tool, and it's good for a business. It's good for whatever you want to do. It's really just a really funny, great, quirky little car. And I would have never expected to review one, so I'm super grateful that I got that opportunity. The cons though with the Daihatsu Mira Walkthrough is that it's very rattly on the inside. Everything's kind of shaking. There's so much road and wind noise all over the place, so it's kind of like you're driving a literal tin can. It can be quite unsafe, and also the fact that it doesn't even really go highway speed. So unless you're living in New York City or Los Angeles or any other small town, Queens, that kind of stuff, I don't really see a use for it. The 94 Daihatsu Mira Walkthrough, I'm also gonna give an 80. In a completely different respect as the last 2 cars that I just rated, it's not being rated on how fast it is or how nice it is. It's everything kind of like combined. The quirkiness, how fun it is, how rare it is, how much joy it brings you, or brings me, I guess I could say, but it was a fun car. All right, we're moving into the top 5 now. At number 5, I have the 2016 Ford Fiesta ST that I reviewed. It was a really super fun driving experience. It's a whole lot of torque steer, really great, like kind of like point and shoot handling, fun acceleration. It's not crazy, but it's enough to where there's a smidge of turbo lag and you feel that turbo kick in, and it's a lot of fun. It also sounds amazing. For me, the biggest con with the Fiesta ST is kind of the price you pay for it, for what you're getting. These cars haven't really come down in value a whole lot since they came out. You can see Fiat 500 Abarths, same years, going for $7,000, $8,000, while the Fiesta STs are still roaming around the $15,000, $16,000 area. And I don't think the Fiesta is all that much of a better car than the Fiat Abarth, let alone a better car at all than the Fiat Abarth. So I think there are other competitors around the Fiesta ST, you know, the Mini Cooper S, the Fiat Abarth, any other real turbo hot hatch like a GTI, and you're gonna get pretty much the exact same package, but for a lot less dollars. That being said though, I think the Fiesta ST definitely has one of the nicer interiors out of its competitors. It's very modern, it's very comfortable, but I think that if what you're looking for is a hot hatch or a fun little car to daily drive, I think you're paying a little bit much for the Fiesta ST. That being said though, I still give this car an 82 out of 100 on my list just because of how fun it is and the fact that I have wanted one for a really long time. Number 4 on the list is the only automatic car in the top 5, the 2020 Mini Clubman John Cooper Works. This car was way faster than I was expecting it to be, and it kind of blew my socks off how good the automatic transmission was in it. It didn't feel like sluggish or sloppy. It got a really nice Mini Cooper interior, and all the stitching and the design of everything, the layout is really beautiful, and the build quality is really good in this John Cooper Works. It also looks amazing from the outside. Mini did a really good job with the accents and the trim level, and Everything they did to make this car look as good as it does. Also, the fact that it's super practical. It's all-wheel drive, and it has tons of space. And the back barn doors, that is super helpful. And honestly, I think you can get these just a little bit more than a Fiesta ST, and that's kind of an insane deal. The Mini might be a couple $1,000s more, but it's all the well worth it. That being said, I rate the Mini JCW an 84 out of 100. It was a super fun car. I want one for myself. That's just not where I am right now in life, so maybe one day. Okay, number 3 on my list, top 3. 2016 Scion FRS. I think this is one of the best sports cars like made in the last decade or 2 decades. It is like everything perfect about a sports car. It's light, rear-wheel drive, manual transmission. It's a 2-door. It looks stellar, but the issue is they put a Subaru engine in it. Why would you put a Subaru engine in it? If they had just taken a Toyota Camry engine or a Corolla engine, a 4-banger, 2.0 4-banger from like their Camry, and thrown it in the FRS, it would have been my favorite car almost of all time. I think that would have been one of the best cars ever. That being said, I do think the Boxer engine does add a little bit of a characteristic to this car, making the center of gravity in the front of the car a bit lower, and also giving it that really nice exhaust note that everybody loves, that Subaru rumble. Really, the only con I have for the FRS is that it's slow. However, it's only slow in a straight line. If you take it around curves, on the toge, on a track, autocross, drift, you can do anything with this car and it can keep up with pretty much anything else, double its horsepower. On that note, I rated the FRS an 85 out of 100. It's very high up there for me. It was a really fun car and I still want one really bad. And I can see myself getting one in the foreseeable future. Number 2 on the list, and I miss this car dearly, is my personal 1991 Nissan Skyline GTST R32. Off the bat, this car has my favorite engine out of every car on this list, the RB20 DET. I think the RB engines are a work of art. They're super well balanced, they sound amazing, they're very smooth, and overall they have so much tuning capability. People can make 800-900 horsepower out of an RB, maybe not a 20, but an RB nonetheless. It's a super fun car to drive, and just like the Honda Beat that I had to Mira, it's right-hand drive, so a lot of people do a double take. At first, it just looks like your normal sedan, kind of older sports car, longer, maybe like a Crown Vic from Japan or something, but then people take a look and they're like, oh shit, he's on the wrong side. So it's a really fun car just to drive on the daily. It's reliable to a degree, and then you can use it for pretty much anything. You can drag race, you can drift, do autocross, toge, daily, like you can do anything in a R32, a GTST or a GTE, or really anything with an RB in it. They have so much character to them. It's just full of life, you know, from the 90s, it's still just going strong. My only con with the R32 that I had, I should say, is the fact that it had an open differential. But that's a really easy fix. You can buy one off of pretty much any other Nissan. You know, you can get one off of an Xterra or an S13 or an S14 or R33. I'm sure there's some way to make all of them interchangeable. Or you can just weld the open diff and have a great time. So really, it's not that big of a con. So that's why I rated this car an 88 out of 100. Coming in at number 1, my absolute favorite car that I've ever reviewed, hands down, I don't even think it's close, is the 2022 Porsche 718 Cayman T. That car was an experience. Super fun to drive, so much responsiveness, so much confidence. It's really like planted to the ground, almost like you're one with the road. Your body kind of like becomes the car. I don't think I'll ever get over the fact that I was able to drive this car the way I did and kind of review it. I'm super grateful that I was able to do that. And it was a super fun experience, and it made me just want a Porsche in general. Like, you drive that car, which isn't even near their top trim Porsche or a 911 or anything, like, you know, it's just a Cayman T. It's one of their lowest grade Porsches that they sell. And it's still the most fun car I've ever driven, so I can only imagine where it goes when you go up from there. Instantly after I shot this video, I started looking on Facebook Marketplace for 986 Boxsters, just to have a Porsche in my life because it was such a great car. Kind of like, I was like, oh, this is what I want. You know, I'm a guy who likes Japanese cars, but I would sell my AE86 to get a Porsche because I think that they're just the best cars ever. The only con that I can see the 718 Cayman T having is its lack of power, but you don't really need it in this car because if you're gonna be carving around mountains or doing track days, I don't think that horsepower is the most important thing. And I think that where it has in power, I think it's at, what, 305? Is like, that's plenty. I mean, that being said, it's the only thing about the car that could have an improvement to me. I mean, obviously, cars can handle better, but for what you get for the price, I think that it's like almost a perfect car. That being said, I rated a 95 out of 100. I think it kind of speaks for itself. You look at the car and you know exactly how it's gonna make you feel. All right, guys, well, I appreciate you guys sticking around for this whole list. If you guys wanna see these car reviews keep coming, you know, leave them in the comments what cars you wanna see, or if you have a car yourself that you want me to review, I'm more than happy to shoot the car. So it's been a really great year. I'm very happy with the way that everything is going so far, and I'm super happy with my audience and you guys watching. So I couldn't be more grateful, and thank you so much, you guys. Please, if you're not subscribed, I appreciate so much a subscription. I just hit 300. I'm so excited to just keep going up. I'm on the road to 1,000 right now, so we've got some ways to go, but we're hoping to hit that before 2025. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.